What's up, all you fantasy folks and pick'em persons? Yeah, how do you like the new intro? The wife came up with it. Haha, it's pretty good. Welcome to week 3 of me picking the games of the week against the spread, and also picking the winners and giving some fantasy tips for you football fantasy players out there. But technically, it actually is week 8 of the NFL season. And I did a little bit better last week. I believe I was 7-8 against the spread, which is still not good. I want to get at least 8 to 9 every week minimum. So I mean, you get 8 to 9, you're making your money back if you bet the same amount on every game, or you're winning. So, and I was 10-5 by picking the winners. So not too bad. Picking the winners is a little bit easier. More heavily favors the home teams most of the time and favors the good teams, whereas picking against the spread is a little bit tougher because they want to equal up those teams as much as possible by using the score. So let's jump right into it. Using our TWI, I have changed it again a little bit. I found some redundancies in my equation where I was multiplying and adding the same thing twice, so it became like a higher discrepancy. Now it's still out of 200, but the total between the two teams is 200, so it's weighed basically percentage wise out of 200 who's going to be more favored than the other person. So it's more shown that there isn't that much disparity between the teams. I see like my highest percentage on my thing is 66, or basically 2/3 chance of that team winning. So I'm going to give you the percentages, and then I also have the TWI numbers on there for you, and also go with my gut and hopefully do a little bit better this week. So first game, we have the Denver Broncos at home against the San Diego Chargers. Broncos are favored by 7.5 in this game, and in my TWI, they are favored 57% to 43%. I think the Broncos are going to win and cover. Manning is just unstoppable. The Chargers only have one running back, and last year when they beat Manning and the Broncos, they had a good running game and they controlled the ball. That's how they beat Seattle. And it showed last game with KC controlling the ball at San Diego. They were able to, get some points, keep the Chargers offense off the field, and end up winning that game with the last second field goal. So I think Manning's going to have another big game. Demarius, another big game. Emmanuel Sanders going to get some catches. Hillman will probably get some touches, maybe get a touchdown. Chargers, I look for Gates to get some catches. And Phillip Rivers is my guy in 2 fantasy leagues. I've been relying on him, so hopefully he has a decent day, but I still think Broncos are probably going to win this one and cover. Probably a score 30-20, 34-24, something like that. Probably win by 10 points. So our second game will be the Atlanta Falcons at home, in quotes, against the Lions. I think this is a game played at Wembley Stadium in London. So technically there's no home team, but the Falcons are the home team according to the NFL. So I have the Lions at 57% to the Falcons 43%, and the Lions are favored by 4. I'm going to go with the Falcons in this game. They're both away teams. If Megatron doesn't play, I think the Falcons will probably lose by a field goal. I think it'll be a little bit closer than we might expect. I know the Falcons' defense is not good. Their run game's not good, but the Lions, Stafford's been known to throw picks, and their running game is kind of hit or miss with Joique Bell and Reggie Bush. I think Julio will probably have a big game. If Roddy's healthy, he'll do well, and maybe Steven Jackson will get some touches and actually prove some yards. But if Megatron does play, I'd probably change the pick to the Lions, just because the Falcons' defense is bad. I think they're ranked 30th in points scored against, so it's not good. But I'll go with the Falcons right now. If Megatron plays, I'll go with the Lions. Next game, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home against the Vikings. Now, this is a disparity because the Vikings are favored 65 to 35% in my TWI, 70 to 130. But the Vikings, I mean, they just don't score points. They lost to Kyle Orton and the Bills last week on a last-second touchdown. He scored 16 points, scored three points a week before. Buccaneers coming off a bye, and this TWI is skewed because they've been doing so bad. But I think the Buccaneers get off the snide here against the lowly Vikings team with basically no offense behind Teddy Bridgewater, and I think the Buccaneers are going to win and cover this game. Our fourth game, I got the New York Jets at home against the Buffalo Bills. Bills are favored 59 to 41% in my TWI, and I'm going to have to go with the Bills on this one. The Jets may pull out a squeak win, but it's going to be a close game. The Bills have a better defense, and the offense is kind of hit or miss just because the Bills can't run the ball now with Fred Jackson and CJ Spiller out, which is a good point. I didn't really think about that. But they do have Sammy Watkins, and whoever they put back there, if they can get someone to get like 70 to 80 yards on the ground with 20 carries and control the clock a little bit more, and Geno Smith will make some mistakes, I think the Bills could cover this one and maybe even win the game. So go with that. Our next game is the New England Patriots at home in Foxborough against Chicago Bears. Bears coming off a terrible loss. They're not favored in this game for sure. It's 62 to 38% in favor of the Patriots. Patriots favored by 6.5 points. I'm going to go with the Bears. The Bears somehow travel well and are just terrible at home. I don't understand why. But the Patriots showed that they're susceptible to the run with Chris Ivory running all over them last week from the Jets. And the Bears have one of the best running backs in the game, Matt Forte. If they can control the ball and Cutler not throw any picks, they could easily cover the spread, and that's why I'm picking the Bears in this game. Our next game, the Carolina Panthers at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Now I have the Seahawks at 55 to 45% favored, and they're favored by 4.5 points away. Now the Seahawks really laid an egg last week. They tried to come back, but it was just too many points. They just didn't have the offense. And where's their defense? Their defense is like ranked 20th or something like that in this year in points scored against. I mean, it's just weird because last year they were just so dominant. They're first overall in yards, points, all that stuff, passing, running, and they just go off the schneid. I mean, it's the same players basically, but what's going on? But I'm gonna have the Seahawks win and cover this game. The Panthers are reeling. They've given up like 80 points the last two games. Their defense without Hardy's not good. Their offense is anemic. I don't trust Cam Newton as far as, he can throw a football. He just relies on Greg Olsen so much and Kelvin Benjamin kinda a little bit. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks in this game to win and cover. Next game, I got the Dolphins visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I have a 66 to 34% favorite in favor of the Dolphins, and that's easily understood. The Jaguars somehow won last week. I don't understand how, but when I look at the stats, I saw Cleveland threw 3 interceptions or had 3 fumbles, and just had no offense. How do you let the Jaguars just run all over you with Denard Robinson? But I mean, the Jaguars are decent. They got Anderson, they got Hearns. Their running game, Denard is the only thing they have. Gerhardt's not good. But the Dolphins, watch out for Clay, Mike Wallace, Tannehill is sneaky good, and Lamar Miller. They got a decent offense, and Cameron Wake on the defensive side, I think, is going to be in the backfield and be in Bortles' face all day. So I got the Dolphins winning and covering this game with the spread of 5 points in their favor. Next game, Cincinnati Bengals at home against the Baltimore Ravens. And I got the 60-40 split on the Ravens being favored. And the Bengals are favored by 2 at home. But the Bengals are just reeling. They have no offense without A.J. Green. I know he's going to try and tough it out this week, but he's going to see limited snaps, probably 15, 20 snaps. And I don't think he's going to make that much of a difference. The Ravens are just on a roll. They're dominating. Their defense is number 1 overall. Their offense is high-powered. They've been scoring up a lot of points. Steve Smith Sr., Torrey Smith, running back by committee. and Owen Daniels is beginning in the mix. But I think Mohamed Sanu will have a decent game for the Bengals, and hopefully Gio Bernard, because he's on one of my fantasy teams, has a decent game. But I have the Ravens winning this game or covering the spread, but probably winning this game as well. The next game, I got Tennessee Titans at home against the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans really beat themselves on Monday night against the Steelers. Just, I don't know how you allow a fumble and an interception. He's allowed 21 points in like 70 seconds or something like that. And they had the game in hand. It was 10-0. And then they just give it to them. So, I mean, they're favored 52 to 48% here. The Titans don't have much of a running game. Kind of have a passing game with Delaney Walker. But Charlie Whitehurst, I just don't trust him to beat the Texans. I think Fitzpatrick will just hand it off a lot. Darian Foster will have another big game. And he can just throw it up to Andre Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins. And, put up 24 points and let the defense say, hey, beat us, Titans. I don't think it's going to happen. But the Texans are favored by 2, and I got them covering and winning this game. Our next game, we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the St. Louis Rams. This is an interesting game. It's 60-40 in favor of the Chiefs. And I do have the Chiefs winning and covering. I'm not jumping on the Rams boat because they beat the Seahawks last week, because the Rams have to travel here. They have to go into Arrowhead and face a Chiefs team that is, picking up a little bit. They just beat a 5-2 team. They beat the Patriots the other week. They have been doing well this year. They just lost a couple close games in that first game against the Titans. I think they figured they'd come in and walk over them, and it was just a letdown, a first game letdown. But they got their feet under them. They're at 3-3. Charles, probably a big game. Smith will probably manage the game, get some to Kelsey. Maybe hit Bo a couple times. Maybe I doubt Bo would get a touchdown. I can't trust Dwayne Bowe. I had him last year and he did nothing for me. But I do love Austin Davis for the Rams. He's been putting up some serious points for me. Brian Quick will be decent, and I also picked up their running back, Trey Mason, I think his name is. I'm trying to pick him up in one of the leagues, because I think he's going to be taking over for Zach Stacy and the other guy, Cunningham, I think his name is. So it looks like Trey Mason might be a good pickup for you guys if you can get him. So then the next game, we got the Arizona Cardinals at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. I got the Eagles favored 55 to 45 in this game in the TWI, and the Cardinals are actually favored by Vegas at 2.5 points. But I think the Eagles, coming off their bye, coming off a lot of rest, are going to go into Arizona and win this game. The Cardinals, their offense is not explosive. I do have Michael Floyd and Andre Ellington, but Ellington he's reached a touchdown or reached the end zone twice in 7 weeks, and it's really frustrating. Or 6 weeks, I think they had a bye. And Michael Floyd's finally starting to get some touchdowns. Larry Fitzgerald's been non-existent. I have him on the bench on a couple of my teams, but I think the Eagles with McCoy, Foles, Macklin, and Ertz are going to have big games, and I think they're going to win and cover this spread. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off the big win on Monday night against the Indianapolis Colts, coming off a huge shutout of the Bengals. And this one is heavily favored for the Colts in the TWI, 66 to 34%. So basically two-thirds to one-third in favor of the Colts, and they're favored by 3 points away. And the Steelers, aside from that 21 points that was gifted to them for Houston, they scored 9 points, or I guess if you want to count their first touchdown, 16. And I think the Colts, their defense is sneaky good. Pick their defense up for this game. Antonio Brown will still have a big game, most likely, but I think they'll shut down the run, they'll shut down Bell, and they'll force Roethlisberger to beat him through the air, which I don't think he can do with the weapons he has. And I think Andrew Luck is just playing too well. Richardson will get some touches. Bradshaw will probably get some balls out of the backfield. And look for Reggie Wayne and Hilton to probably have some big games as well. And I also picked up Dwayne Allen. He's been splitting snaps with Fleener, but I think Dwayne Allen has been targeted a little bit more and has caught more, and definitely has more touchdowns than Fleener. So he's targeted more in the red zone, which is good. I think he's a little bit taller, a little bit more athletic than Fleener is. So I got the Colts winning and covering that game. Then we have the Cleveland Browns coming off a terrible loss against the Oakland Raiders. And the Browns are at home, favored by 7, and favored in the TWI at 56-44. And the Raiders, I don't think they're gonna get their first win here. And I think the Browns coming back home, I think they looked ahead to like this game. They're like, oh well, we'll win Jacksonville easy. We'll move on to Oakland. We'll win that. It will be 5-2, and we'll be sitting pretty. Well, now you lost to Jacksonville, so now they're gonna be like, well, hold on, we gotta sit back. We gotta take this game seriously. We gotta get back to the fundamentals. Get back to Hoyer not fumbling. Get back to handing the ball off to Isaiah Crowell and Ben Tate and maybe Terrence West if they get him in there. And also throw the ball, get Jordan Cameron in on the mix again. Maybe Miles Austin. And I think the Browns will win and cover this game. I mean, the Raiders, Carr is decent. I can't think of the guy's name. Maurice Jones-Drew and McFadden will probably be running back by committee. James Jones will probably get a decent wide receiver 3. A flex option if you have no other option. He'll probably get some targets. The Browns defense is iffy, but they give up 24 points to Jacksonville. Come on. And the offense only scored 6 points. So it was a rough week for the Browns, but I think they get back on the horse and win and cover this game. This next game, the coin flip. I have it, if it's percentage-wise, I have the Saints 100-99 in the TWI, which they're favored by like like, I don't know, 0.5%, 1/4%, or something over the Packers, the visiting Packers. But the Saints are favored by 1.5 points. I know the Saints are really good at home. They don't lose that much. I think they're like 13-0 in primetime games over the last 3 or 4 seasons, including a romping of the Packers back in 2008. Rodgers' first year, where they got beat like 54-29 or something like that. But this is a different Saints team, and this is a different Packers team. Packers obviously averaging about 33-34 points a game in their 4-game winning streak. The Saints coming off a terrible loss. Breeze is not himself this year. And I think the Packers are going to march down to the Superdome and win this game and tell the Saints they are not going to make the playoffs this year, because that'll drop them to 2-5. Packers will be 6-2 heading into the bye and looking good. So I got the Packers winning and covering. My Green Bay Packers, I'm going to be wearing my Favre jersey under my Woodson jersey this Sunday watching that game. So that brings us to the Monday night game, the classic NFC East battle. Just like it was last Sunday night, with the Cowboys at home against the Redskins. I have the Cowboys favored 59-41, but I think the point spread is just too high. The Cowboys, I think, will win by a touchdown. And I know Colt McCoy is going to be throwing the ball for the Redskins, but they're just going to hand the ball off. They're going to try and control the game. I want to say that the Cowboys will win by 2 touchdowns, but I feel like they're, I don't know. I just don't like that spread number. 9.5 is a lot. I know they won by 10 last week, but I think the Redskins have a little bit better running game, and they're going to try and control the clock and hopefully stuff DeMarco Murray. So I got the Redskins in this game to cover the spread, Cowboys winning. So there you go. Hopefully this week I get on the positive side of things in these 15 games. Hopefully I win 8 or 9. It'd be nice to get 10 or 11 and cash in my pick'em league, but you never know. So leave me your fantasy questions in the bottom, your picks if you want, and I'll check them out. And good luck, and hopefully you win this week with a little help from the Hark dog. Take care, everybody.